Okay, dear students, we'll try to wind up this chapter number 4 today. So, yesterday we have talked about the Planning Commission. Today we are going to talk about a new institution which has replaced the Planning Commission in the present time. Now, it was known or it was called as Nithyayok, National Institution for Transforming India. That is the full form of Niti. It was established in 2015 because of the failure of the Planning Commission, and it was introduced by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, what are the composition? Who constitute this Niti Aayog? Let's see. First, like in Planning Commission, it is the Prime Minister as a chairman, Vice Chairperson appointed by Prime Minister, and there are governing councils including the Chief Minister of the states and the Union Territories, which are having a legislative assembly like Delhi and Puducherry, and also the lieutenant governors of the other Union Territories. And then there will be 4 Union Ministers nominated by Prime Minister as an ex-officio members. There will be 2 full-time and 2 part-time members from the leading universities and research organizations. So this is the governing councils of the Niti Aayog. And there is a CEO of Niti Aayog appointed by Prime Minister, and he will be enjoying the rank of Secretary of India. Now, what is the objective of Niti Aayog? What is the reason for the creation of this Niti Aayog? Now, Niti Aayog, it will serve as a think tank. It will act as a knowledge hub. It will provide ideas, relevant technical ideas, information in making the policies and implementing those policies to both central and the state government, not only to the center or not only to the state, but both. So it will act as a think tank. It will act as a knowledge hub. So they will be providing all the technical advices and policies in making policies and their implementation. Second is to promote cooperative federalism. Now, Niti Aayog, as we have seen in its composition, it includes both the state and the union territories and the union government. All the representatives are there. That means it is trying to make equality between both the central and the state government. It is not trying to make someone subordinate of the other. So that is the second objective. It tried to bring equality between the two governments. Now, the fourth one is, it is saying the government should be the enabler instead of being the last resort. Now, when everything has failed, it doesn't want the government to appear when everything has failed, but rather it should collaborate from the beginning, and then it should be as an enabler, not as a it doesn't want the government to act as a last resort. Unlike this planning commission, which has dictated the state government what to do. Now, state government did not have much power when there was a planning commission. But this Niti Aayog, it is different from the planning commission. Now it will take a debate and deliberation on the global commons. Now, what are the global commons here? Now, the global common is referring to those public goods which concern the whole nation in general, like the whole world or the whole nation of the country India, like the space, the internet, the climatic changes, all these things. The Niti Aayog tries to take part and then deliberate on these things, take a discussion, debates and these things, and then they will try to bring solution for the people. And then it will try to recognize the potential of the middle classes people who are highly skilled and classified, and then they will be useful in making policy and then implementing those policies among the middle classes. The seventh objective, it will try to use technologies for practical purposes, like in agricultural purpose, good governance, and in environment protection. Now, to provide a good governance, like to provide transparency in the government, and agricultural purpose, new technologies, improvised technologies to be used in agriculture so as to improve the agricultural productions. Now, what is the roles and functions? We have talked about the objectives. Now, those are the objectives which the Nithyayok tries to bring. So, in collaboration with its objectives, what is the roles and function of the Nithyayok? Let's see. Now, the first here, the role we see is it is to provide a strategic and technical advices to the government, how the plan should be taken care of, how it should be handled, and what kind of machines or what kind of technical things should be implemented, something like that. Strategies and technical advices. And then it will also develop a mechanism to formulate the credible plans, now which are acceptable, which can be implemented, not ideas which are not implementable, but they will try to develop a mechanism to formulate the ideas which are implementable, which can be implemented, credible ideas or plans. They will act as a collaborative. They act as a collaborative platform to evaluate, implement, and implementation of programs. Now, collaborative means talking about both the state and the union government. And then they are the platform. This Nithyayok is the platform for both the government to implement and evaluate the programs, to make improvement and necessary mid-course corrections of the plans. Now, when the particular project is being taken care of, or when it's going to be implemented, but if there is a necessary improvement to be made during in the middle of the plans or in the middle of the project, then Nithyayok, it's the role and function of the Nithyayok to make such an improvements even during the mid-course of correction of plans. So when even the plan is being executed already, but if there is improvement to be needed to be made, or necessary corrections to be made, then it is the role of the Nithyayok to make such corrections and mid-course corrections and necessary improvements. Publish researches and model rules on development issues such as education, industries, etc. Now, by producing these research papers, people will gain more knowledge about what is going on or what is happening or what is the better development that can be introduced. So Nithyayok is one of these main functions is to publish such research papers on model rules on development issues such as in the field of agricultural industries and education, etc. So this is also one of the important function of the Nithyayok. A repository research on good governance. Like I've told you, now what can be done to bring a good governance for the people of the country. Now Nithyayok is to make such researches what and how to implement good governance for the people. Enhance partnership between center and the state to achieve national objective. Now this, like I've told you, Nithyayok is not created to bring distinction between the two governments, the center and the state, but rather it is to collaborate both these two governments so that they can achieve the national objective as a partner, not as a subordinate to one another. Now let's see the quick difference between the Planning Commission and the Nithyayok. Now it's clearly given there even in your textbook, so no much needed to be explained here. You can clearly see it from the distinction that has been made in the table. In Planning Commission, they had the power to allocate funds to the ministers and the state government. It was solely in the hands of the Planning Commission to provide funds to the state government. Now the Planning Commission, they may start misusing this power to allocate more fund to another state and another government rather than the which they prefer, rather than to the other which is needed, something like that. It can be misused. But here Nithyayok will be just acting as a think tank or just an advisory board in terms of finance and ministry allocations. The second differences is state participation in the Planning Commission process was meant by National Development Council, but in Nithyayok the state has a greater say in policy formulation and policy implementation, since by creating Nithyayok it has become a partner of the state central government. It is no more a subordinate like in Planning Commission. And the third one is issue of national security has no place in the planning intended to achieve economic growth. Planning Commission does not have anything to do with the national security. But here in Nithyayok it talks about even the national security. It does not only talk about economic growth or achievement in economic developments, but it talks about even the national security, because without security there cannot be a development, something like that. Planning Commission formulated central plan. Planning Commission formulated central plan, but in Nithyayok it does not formulate plans but hold consultation with the state government. Without involvement of the state government in formulating the plans, the Nithyayok, they are not going to plan anything. But it was not like that in the Planning Commission. And then in Planning Commission they had a full-fledged secretariat consisting of the secretary and a few joint secretaries. But in Nithyayok, as a chief executive officer, that is CEO, to be appointed by the Prime Minister, who will be functioning under the Prime Minister. But in Nithyayok, in Planning Commission, it had a full-fledged secretary, chairman, deputy chairman, and 8 full-time members. Now in Planning Commission there was a chairman, deputy chairman and then 8 other members who were a full-time member. They were full-time employees of the government. But here in Nithyayok, less full-time members and more of experts and the specialists. It was replaced by more experts and specialists than the full-time members. So that was the main differences, the 6-point difference between the Planning Commission and the Nithyayok. Now the next topic is the Green Revolution. Now what is this Green Revolution? Why it is called as Green Revolution? Now it was a change that was brought into the agricultural sector. So that was known as the Green Revolution. Let's see the definition. Innovation brought about in agricultural sector through high-yielding variety seeds of wheat, rice, corn, etc., and through the chemical fertilizers and pesticides, irrigations, and modern agricultural implements such as tractors or harvesters and many of those things, which brought changes in the agricultural sector. That was called as the Green Revolution. The word Green Revolution was coined by Dr. William Gatt of US Department, and it was introduced in 1960s. Talking about in India, this Green Revolution, the idea of Green Revolution was introduced in 1960s, and then M.S. Swaminathan was considered the father of Green Revolution of India. You please keep this in mind. M.S. Swaminathan was considered as the father of Green Revolution of India. So why does India needed this Green Revolution? Why did it was so much in need of this Green Revolution? Let's see the first point. There was a food crisis because of the partition. Now we have already to talk about the partition of India in the first chapter. We don't need to go back there again. So because of the partition, the country was facing so much of food crisis. So this Green Revolution was much needed of in India. That was the first thing. The second one is there was a severe drought caused by some of these factors, like Indo-China War in 1962. Now when a country involves themselves in a war with other countries, definitely it is going to hamper its economy, agricultural things, and even it involves lots of things, casualties, many things. So because of this Indo-China War in 1962 and Indo-Pakistan War in 1965, and also there was a drought. I think you know what is the meaning of drought. Scarcity of water because of no rain. So there was 2 successive years of droughts, followed by 2 successive years of drought, along with the 1962 War of China, Indo-China War, and 1965 Indo-Pakistan War. So this was the second reason why India needed a Green Revolution. The third one is import of food grains. Now here India started importing food grains from other foreign countries. Like from 1965 to 1967, it is said that India already imported 10 million tons of food grains from other countries, foreign countries, annually in year. India have to import 10 million tons of food grains to supplement its populations. So that was a huge thing. So this was the third reason why India was greatly in need of this Green Revolution. So what was the result of this Green Revolution? Let's see. There was increase in productivity, especially wheat and rice. Now it is said after the introduction of this Green Revolution, India became an exporter rather an importer of the food grains. So that was a great development, huge, good result, positive result for the people of India, especially the farmers. The second one was there was employment avenues, increase in employment to the landless agricultural laborers. Now definitely when there is much productions or increase in productions, definitely they would like to hire more laborers. So definitely it created employment avenues for the landless laborers. Even the World Bank started helping India, like giving out loans so it can improve its agricultural product by introducing this Green Revolution idea. So that was also one of the good results. Now there was a change pattern of industries production also. Now production of such as things as like tractors, seed drillers and harvesters, all these things started increasing, and then there was a lot of sales of these things in the industries. So it changes even in the pattern of industries. So that was another good result of the positive impact of this Green Revolution. Now what was the shortcomings or the criticism of this Green Revolution? The first one was there was regional inequalities. Now there was a good development because of this Green Revolution. However, it also had a negative impact. Now what was the negative impact was it benefited mostly the region of the Punjab, Haryana, UP, etc. Now it did not affect whole of the countries, but it rather affected only some part. So there was a regional inequalities in income, in benefiting, and many other things. So there was regional inequalities. That was the first shortcoming or the criticism for the introduction of this Green Revolution. The second one is there was a widening gulf between rich and the poor. Now the rich started becoming richer, and the poor started becoming poorer because they cannot afford those improvised high qualities of industrial goods such as tractors and things. So the poor farmers or the small farmers, they could not compete with the rich farmers or the big farmers who started producing things in a very much greater scale by using this in the modern technical industries things. Environment degradation. Now definitely it's going to affect our environment because of this use of these fertilizers and pesticides. Now it will be washed into the rivers, or it will be absorbed by the soil, and then it will start degrading the environment, and it even affect the through the consumption of goods. It may even affect our health, the human health, and even the animals. So there is also a side effect or negative impact because of this green revolution. So that's all for today, and that comes to the end of the chapter. So I hope you have understood the chapter. I don't know how much you have grasped the idea, but I hope you have at least got some idea regarding this chapter.